Well, thanks for joining us on 7 for 12 live at the end of an unbelievable day for the England captain. He lost the toss and everything else from there has gone his way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review, and we'll answer your questions later in the show.
Well, what a day's play at Headingley on day one. One that mirrored day one at the MCG. England against Australia back in 2010. But few saw this one coming. England looked like they were battening down the hatches. They had real problems coming into the side with morale, with results, and of course with fitness. But after Virat Kohli won the toss and decided to bat, it became England's day. India bowled out for just 78, half an hour before the tea break, and then when England came out to bat, the sun came with them. Conditions eased, and it looked like India were the beaten side long before stumps. England ending a near-on perfect day, 120 without loss, a lead over India already of 42 runs, 10 wickets in hand. Well, what a day to look back on here on 7 for 12.
Well, John, great scenes, great pictures, fantastic atmosphere. Just to the right of my screen, just to your left, the Western Terrace. What an afternoon they have had today.
Oh, mate! Actually, looking at that little video montage of the day, it's Test cricket. It takes a long time, doesn't it? It's quite unusual. There was actually a period today where the Western Terrace was a bit subdued. It had been such a one-sided day. By the time India had been bowled out and then England had put on 50, the fans didn't really know what to do with themselves. But let's start at the beginning. First off, Virat Kohli deciding to bat first. Now, on the live Q&A yesterday, which I'm delighted to say we were joined by thousands of cricket fans across the world. You know, I put it to you that I thought whoever won the toss would bowl first. Kohli went the other way, decided to bat. Was that a surprise to you?
No, not a surprise. Not a surprise. The surprise was how badly India performed and decision making that they had. The opening batsman and the batsman that came in after the two openers, they seemed to make more of a poor decision than what Virat Kohli did at the top. Look, Anderson bowled unbelievably well, and we'll get on to Jimmy in a bit. But I still think the wicket was a half-decent wicket. Look, let's be fair. Yes, so the sun came out, but England are 120 for none. You can't say there's too much demons in this surface. I just think India, possibly complacency, possibly, preparation. Maybe it's not the greatest. I'd love to know what they've done in between the test matches. But boy, was Jimmy Anderson fired up. He put the ball in and around off stump, took the ball away. And like I said to you on Following On not long ago, I think even a flat wicket where no question you bat first, Jimmy Anderson would have had 3 for 6 because of the decision making that India's batters had. Jimmy Anderson has bowled that way for a number of years now, in and around off stump, taking the ball away from you because it's a duke ball. The ball is going to swing. It's going to have some lateral movement when it's brand new. Jimmy Anderson bowled the ball round about the top of off stump, just outside, and said to the Indian batsman, "Go on, have a drive. Go on, have a drive. Go on, have another go." And then when they came to have a go, they were all at sea. I still believe on a flat wicket, maybe it's at Oval, maybe it's at Old Trafford, Jimmy Anderson still had 3 for 6.
Well, let's hear from the main man, Jimmy Anderson, who's been speaking shortly after an incredible day's play for England.
It doesn't get much better than that, I don't think. Losing the toss, being, asked to bowl and then putting them in a performance like that, I think it doesn't get much better. And then the way the two guys played towards the end of the day with the bat was outstanding, and exactly what we've been talking about and asking for. Both with ball and the bat, we've displayed exactly what we wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, he makes a good point, doesn't he? Very often it's the England bowlers that have got England either into a good position or dug them out of a hole. It was so important that when England's batsmen came out, they did what they had to do. Nobody was asking for 120 without loss. But the fact is that they put on a partnership. They needed one good partnership to get them past India's total. They did that. And what impressed me was, admittedly against a wayward spell by Ishant Sharma, was the way that Hasib Hamid went about things. 3 of his scoring shots were to the cut. He had a little bit of luck when he inside edge one down to Jadeja, who was fielding at fine leg for some unknown reason. But apart from that, they knew the importance of their wicket, but they also knew the importance about not giving India a sniff. And, by tea, with a score of 21 without loss, already within 50, pretty much, it was great to see. We know what England's bowlers could do, but we now know what England's batsmen can do as well.
Yeah, 100%. The way that the two guys at the top of the order we've been critical of, and so you've got to praise them when they do well. I thought Burns' tempo looked a lot better.
Yeah,
possibly working with Hamid. Hamid got two absolute beauties off Ishant Sharma, just a sort of dab cut, late cut down by sort of gully backward point line. It was free hits really for a batsman, opening batsman with the field the way it was. It was basically 2 freebies to get off and running, and that was the key time. 21 for none was the key time for India to really get back into the game. Look, remember what happened at Lords? They came out all guns blazing, firing, abusing the England batsmen, getting in their face. All of a sudden, both openers gone, short space of time. That was their time. Went in a whimper for me. I thought it was a poor decision to let Ishant Sharma and not Jasprit Bumrah bowl first. Ishant Sharma looked way off the pace. He looked miles away, and probably summed the game up. Ishant Sharma, 100 Test matches, experienced the way he bowled his first 2 overs, compared to one of the greats of the game, 100 Test match, Jimmy Anderson, the way he did. And I think that the way their contrasting opening spells were where their teams are in this Test match at the minute. But fair play to Rory Burns and Hamid. They rotated the strike very well. They put the bad ball away. They didn't let the Indian bowlers bowl to them. And when they got something offline, they looked to score. Fantastic by the 2 opening batsmen. And they've got England in a really strong position.
Let's go back to the India batting, because it was. I mean, what was important for England, I suppose, was that they didn't release the pressure. After that brilliant opening spell from Anderson and Robinson knew that big wicket of Rahane. I don't know if you saw Rohit Sharma's reaction straight after. But the fact is, they didn't let India off the hook, did they? Both bowlers, Curran, he might not have played under another regime, and then Overton as well. 2 wickets and 2 balls, both of them. 7th time this series, by the way, we've had a bowler on a hat trick. India losing 4 wickets for 67. It was the perfect day for England, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And I think when we talk about, give credit to people who we've criticised in the last few days, and it's hard. I find it hard sometimes criticising. I want to try and put myself what it was like to be in their positions and what was going through their minds. I tell you what, fair play to some of these guys, because Joe Root cops them, Josh Butler, the senior players cops them, Chris Silverwood cops them. But some of the decisions they've made, Butler 5 catches by just after lunchtime on day 1. Fair play to Josh. His keeping's been unbelievable. And if you question marks in the past about Josh Butler, subcontinent last year he was excellent, and he's carried on again. He is a fantastic wicketkeeper. And yes, they would say there were easy catches, relatively easy catches. You still got to catch them. You've still got to be in a position to catch them. And when all your senior players have come under criticism from the last week, selection, you picked the right side. You've gone and stayed loyal to somebody like Sam Curran, when a lot of us thought Sam Curran would miss out for Overton and Mahmood would play. Nah, not in these conditions. We need somebody to hit the top of off stump. We need somebody just to contain, hold the line, and we'll go with a game plan like this. So Overton got the nod. Robinson got the nod. Curran kept his place. And Sam Curran, we've said, what happened at Lords or happened at Trent Bridge? Conditions weren't in the little fella's favour. Conditions were in the little fella's favour today, and he proved his worth. And for me, good luck, well done, Sam, because you did. You give it a chance to swing, you give it a chance to pitch up, and you got your just reward. So that will do him the world of good, because if he had bowled 2 overs, 3 overs, and then released the pressure and gone around the park a little bit after what Anderson and Robinson had done, I tell you what, the pressure on Sam Curran would have been enormous. So, good on the little fella for standing up when it was counted, and he's now been part of a unit that's got England in a great position.
Brilliant stuff. Well, look, let's continue this conversation on. Get your questions into the show, by the way. Hashtag the comment section or leave a comment below here, and we will answer it on the show. So if you want your question answered by Harmy, drop us a question now, and we'll get to it before the end of 7 for 12. But now let's have a little look at moment of the day. Sorry, I'm not sure if you heard me there. For me, the moment of the day has got to be Virat Kohli's wicket. It's a big one. It always is. But when you consider a lot of the chat in the build-up to today, even more so. And it was Anderson that got him as well. Now, it was Anderson and Kohli had kind of gone head-to-head at Lords. Of course, the Bumrah situation, the fact that the teams reportedly had a bit of a bust-up in the long run. Not the first time Anderson's been in the centre of a scrum at Lords against India back in 2014. So, nothing was said on the field. I kept a good eye out. I was watching as Kohli walked past the celebrating bowler and as he got mobbed by these teammates. But, that was a crucial moment. Anderson was quite keen to remind everybody before this match that Kohli only averages 20 this series. Well, that average has just gone down.
Yeah, there was some great comments in between the test match, weren't there? There was some good mind games played, backing forwards by experienced campaigners, not wanting to give an inch, wanting to stay respectful for the game, but also making sure that the other one knew exactly where the other one's position was in this game. And Anderson, I thought, was brilliant. He looked at his celebration. And Jimmy Anderson got Keir Rowell, who has been a thorn in England's side throughout this test series. Big runs. He gets him first over. Runs, yes. Celebration was a little bit more animated for Jimmy. But when he got Kohli, that was a complete difference. It was a marked difference, and that was because what had happened at Lords. Jimmy said probably let the emotion get to him. And for Jimmy Anderson at 39, who's played 160 odd test matches, for that to happen, it just shows the human element of test match cricket, the human element of pressure, and the human element of pressure when people are tired, that people do strange things, do have brain fades, and that's what happened at Lords. Jimmy Anderson's fresh face, ready to go in this game, and he was waiting for the Indian captain, who didn't have the answer. He simply didn't have the answer, and that's why Jimmy is the greatest. And I wish he'd be retired because I'm sick of saying great things about him. But when Virat Kohli walked off, I thought, India, right, you're in trouble now. You're in big trouble now because your 3, 4, 5 haven't fired again. You've got 4 number 11s coming in, 8, 9, 10, 11. And Jimmy Anderson is on top form. This England bowling attack is going to go through you. I didn't believe it would be as devastating as what it was, 78. But that's a marker down. And Virat Kohli, again, he's got a score. He's not got a score of 50. And he's halfway through this test match series now. So he's going to have to start, really, really coming to the party, latter part, if he wants to go back at Jimmy Anderson and say, well, we've had an even series because Jimmy's winning this battle hands down at the moment.
Brilliant stuff. Well, look, we've got plenty of questions coming into the show. So let's head over to the comment section. Okay then, Harmy. Got plenty of people watching on and plenty of questions being coming into the show. So let's start with this one from David Gifford. Did India play poorly or did England bowl well? And he says he thought the Indian seamers looked jaded, which is a surprise when you consider they've had the best part of a week off.
Yeah, I thought the Indian seamers looked as though they struggled with a hill at Headingley. I think Harriet asked the question.
You always hear about the hill, don't you, at Lords? But
Yeah.
you don't really hear about the hill here at Headingley, but it's actually quite pronounced.
It is pronounced from, it's downhill from where you are to the standing behind you. It is a decent drop downhill. Not as big as what it used to be. It used to be a real big slope with lots of little undulations, but it got flattened out. And I think Harriet asked a question yesterday about what's the difference bowling at Headingley. And a lot of it is people bowl too short at Headingley because they're not used to the slopes. When they're running down the hill, tend to drag it down. When they're running up the hill, they tend to sort of drag it down because they're not quite at their bowling mark, and it just shows the people that have taken wickets. Anderson, to be fair, Anderson's a leading wicket taker on every Test ground because he's got that many wickets. But you look at the likes of Darren Gough and Ian Botham and Bob Willis, bowlers that give it a chance to sort of pitch it up and have a go and swing. India just didn't look as though they were all at sea. They looked as shell-shocked as their batsmen. But I thought England's bowlers were absolutely magnificent today, and they were the ones that were right on top.
Okay, this is a question from Diptaman Yadav on Twitter. He says, how can Team India come back into this match?
I'm sorry, I don't see a way of coming back into this Test match. I really don't. I've been in this position before.
England were bowled out for 67 2 years ago, and they won. So it can happen.
Yeah, and look, come back on and have a go and tell me that I was completely wrong in 2 days' time or 3 days' time. I just don't see it. I've been in this position before. Australia, 2009. We were bowled out for 102, I think it was, just after lunch. And Australia, Ricky Ponting came out and smashed us everywhere. Great innings. He just came out, played a one-day style innings. They got 400, and we were never at the races. And I've got a funny feeling that's the way it's going to happen in this Test match for India. Big hour tomorrow morning, but if England are still batting and maybe it's 1 down by drinks, 2 down by lunch, that's 150 in front. I don't see England. I don't see India coming back from that.
Haseeb Hameed has only ever played Test cricket against India and Bangladesh, and he scored his first 50 in 5 years today in Test cricket. G. Paul says, is Haseeb Hameed the answer England have been looking for their opening batting miseries?
Well, he is at the minute because he's going well, but that can change very, very quickly. What I will say is I'm really pleased for the boy. I'm really pleased for the boy because 2 years ago, he was out the game. He was out the game. He wasn't even close to getting into Lancashire's first team. He was struggling getting into their second team. And he's got away to Notts, worked hard at his game. And sometimes, G. Paul, when somebody comes back like that, they tend to come back for a long period of time because they've had the brilliance into their early part of their career. They've had the pitfalls, they've gone to rock bottom, and they've climbed their way back. And they know what it's like to go to rock bottom. That drives them forward. I really, really hope for Hameed's sake that this is happening. This happens because England do need him. I like the little combination between him and Rory Burns. Changed strike well, rotated the strike well, left and right combination. I was quite pleased and quite happy the way things had gone, and fingers crossed it continues.
Yeah, we're getting some messages in just saying how well England have played. Newell 7947. Now, this is a question I was going to ask you as well. Does having a more positive opening partner put less pressure on Burns?
It does, yeah. I think it does. I think the rotation of strike does help. Where Sibley leaves a lot, Sibley he plays and misses quite a bit. And if you're somebody like Rory Burns, who just like he's a shuffler, somebody that he's a bit restless at the crease, with him being left-handed and his scoring in unusual areas, he tends to get off strike quite a bit. Which what I mean by that is he'll get an inside edge onto his pad and it'll run down sort of left of square leg, or he'll get it to it the mid wicket, or he'll get it down to sort of the vacant third man point. Rory Burns rotates the strike naturally by the way he bats, the way he picks his bat up, in an unconventional way. And that, from his point of view, he rotates a strike. But if he does that quite a bit, then he spends a lot of time at the non-strikers end when he's with Dom Sibley, where Hamid play a lot similar, shorter in stature, low hands, might have to work on that going to Australia, or get reinforced top-hand gloves. But he's another one who, because he's got low hands and he does let the ball come to him, he does drop the ball well, left and right, and the ability, if both in sync, to get down the other end. So that little partnership like that then brings the bowlers into, they go shorter, they go fuller, and they can get a few away. So I do believe that the tempo of that innings was a lot better with Hamid rather than Sibley.
Okay, one last question in before we go to predictions, and you got your prediction, it seems, again, correct yesterday. Aidan from New Zealand says, great job with the show. Thanks, Aidan. What's the weather forecast like for the next few days? Hey, I can answer that one. Don't need Harmy to. The weather forecast is for a little bit of cloud for the next couple of days, but sun. So no rain will be saving India, that's for sure. And the cloud cover will mean that whilst conditions may ease a little bit, and it does happen at Headingley that's the case, the bowlers will be interested throughout. He says, surely if England bat for another 90 overs, that's all that can save India here. Surely if India bat for another, I'm not quite sure exactly what he's saying about batting for another 90 overs. Or nothing can save India. Yeah, I suppose what he's saying is it's down to England to bat India out of this game, and they could do that tomorrow.
Yeah, if England bat for 90 overs, then, even if there is a bit of cloud cover, which England would welcome, then all of a sudden it makes the job even harder for India, because Headingley is another ground that you look up for the conditions rather than look down. If England bat 90 overs, how good would that be? We haven't done that for quite some time when it comes to 130 overs in a test match. But I tell you what they would do if they bat for 90 overs, give them a huge amount of confidence going into the fourth and fifth test match that they can actually put score on the board and give their bowlers some chance. Their bowlers have been magnificent, England, in these 2.5 test matches so far. So if England can do that, the bowlers will wrap the game up, and then all of a sudden the confidence booster going into the Oval would be absolutely huge. But first things first, I think a score of around about 300, and I just can't see India coming back from that.
Okay, let's head over to the predictions. Well, it's not a tip, it's a prediction. Let me have a little think. I think, Steve Harmison, you are going to predict an England win.
I am going to predict an England win. Not quite tomorrow, even with the potential of an extra half an hour. I don't think the game is that fast forward just yet. But I can see England batting all the way till tea time. And if England bat till tea time tomorrow, what's that? Another 180 runs on top of what they've got now. That's 300, 230 deficit. I've been in this position before, where you're looking at the scoreboard and you might have a little partnership going, but you're still looking at a huge deficit just to make the opposition bat again. That pressure hugely falls onto the captain, Virat Kohli, as well as 2 or 3 other senior players. And with 4 number 11s going from 8, 9, 10, 11, I can only see this game going till round about the halfway mark of the test match. If we've got good weather, I can see the game being done halfway through day 3. And an England win, 1-1 going to the Oval.
Oof, I'll take that. And so would my wife. Brilliant stuff, Harmy. We will be back on 7 for 12 following all the action day 2. Surely it can't be another one-sided game like we saw today, but you never know, do you? Like, subscribe, review, and we'll be back following every single day's play here on 7 for 12.